Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prasad Mukam Kurutavaram Langayati Kripasamaham Namaste Shiguru Pratharinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, Mukam, the person who cannot speak, can recite poetry. Mukam Kurati Vachanam Kambu, and a person who is lame can climb to the top of the mountain. So, we're celebrating today the appearance of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram is Krishna's elder brother. And Balaram has three distinct relationships with Krishna at the same time. He is, in Indian culture, the elder brother is not good. Well, the elder brother has, in Indian culture, at least at the time of Krishna, the elder brother has a parental relationship with the younger brother. So Balaram is the older brother of Krishna. He protects Krishna. When Krishna was born, Balaram appeared first to make sure everything was good for Krishna's appearance. He actually appeared in the womb of Devaki to prepare the appearance of Krishna. So he has that relationship where he's protecting Krishna, he's looking out for his well-being, instructing him and so forth. But he also has the relationship of a friend, because Balaram is Krishna's intimate friend. And he also has a relationship of a servant, because he's always serving Krishna. He's always arranging to make everything pleasurable for Krishna. That's Balaram's seva. And Balaram is the manifestation of what's called the existence potency. In Sanskrit, it's called sandini. So existence means what is created in Krishna Lila is the manifestation of Balaram's energy. Even so far to say that Krishna's form is a manifestation. It's, in a sense, it's not coming from Balaram, but it's a manifestation of his energy. Everything that exists, Krishna, Balaram, the gopis, everything is a manifestation of Balaram's energy. It's called Sandini. And Radha is a manifestation of the Ladini, or pleasure potency. Balaram's the existence, and Krishna's manifestation of Chit, knowledge. Did you know you're full of Chit? Did anyone ever tell you? You're also, according to Shastra, you're Chitkana, a piece of Chit. Did you know that? You're a piece of Chit? Yeah, you are. Definitely, yeah. And that is manifestation of Krishna's potency. Yeah. We have a t-shirt, we don't have it with us, but it says, you're a piece of Chit. Yeah. So, Balaram exists to facilitate Krishna's Leelas. Balaram exists to give Krishna pleasure. Directly or indirectly, this is Balaram's concern, which of course should be our concern. So he's setting the supreme example of facilitating Krishna Lila. And it's sometimes difficult to understand because some of these Leelas that happen with Krishna, they look so much like things that happen in this world. Like you'll read in Bhagavatam, the gopis kissing Krishna. And so in this world, if you want to kiss somebody, it's for your pleasure. But in that world, if you want to kiss, it's for Krishna's. You're kissing him for his pleasure. And even Balaram has his own gopis, but it's done in service to Krishna, to facilitate Krishna, his leelas and his enjoyment. So Balaram exists totally to give Krishna pleasure, which we also exist for that reason. We just forgot. So Balaram also represents another Shakti of Krishna, which is the Shakti of Guru. And so it is said Balaram is the original Guru, because the Shakti of Guru is a spiritual power. And Shastra says, by spiritual power one is liberated. Nayam atma balahinena labhyo. Without spiritual power, one cannot be liberated. And some spiritual groups think that verse, Nayam atma bala means strength. They think that means physical strength, that you need physical strength to liberate yourself from this world. And I was at the home of some Indian many years ago, and they had a poster of barbells. You know barbells? Weights? Whatever you call them, weights. You know. And there's a picture of barbells with that verse, Nayam atma balahinena labhyo. Without strength, you can't be liberated. So they've misunderstood. That strength is not material. The strength that we get from Balaram is spiritual, and that strength descends through the disciplic succession. So as we've been discussing, our Krishna consciousness is not based entirely on our own strength, but we're getting mercy, we're getting the wind in ourselves from behind us. And that in Sanskrit is called kripa, and that kripa, or that mercy, which enables us to become liberated, is a gift of Balaram coming through the Guru. So today, as we mentioned this morning, we can pray to Balaram for strength, and we have pre-Bhagavatam class sessions on our morning walks. So we were talking about the power that's coming from the Guru because we are weak and we need strength, and how strong Maya is. And Krishna says, Maya is so strong, you can't conquer it. It's Duratyaya. But we're conquering it, but we are overcoming Maya, but we're not overcoming it by our strength. or overcoming it by the strength of Guru or the strength of Balaram. So we were saying, today we pray for strength. We pray for mercy. And it's very abundant on the appearance day of Balaram, like more so than on other days. So if you need strength, if you need mercy, today's your day. You could see in the kirtan, it was special. That's the mercy of Balaram. So it's important to understand how this kripa or this mercy works. Because one might think, because we have so many practices, you just have to perfect the practice. If you perfect the practice, then you'll be liberated. And that's true partially, but not entirely. Because it's the practice and the service that attracts the mercy of Guru. And it's that mercy that is actually uplifting us. It's not, it looks like we're doing it on our own, and I don't want to say we're not. But it's more like we're putting the coin into the slot machine, and the slot machine's delivering the money. We're making a little effort, and we're getting back a lot. We're hitting, it's like we've hit the jackpot with Lord Balaram. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explained this principle. He said that you have to try your best, as if everything depends on your actions and your service and your mentality. You have to try like that. You try your best. And he said that when you try your best, then that activates the mercy of Guru. So it looks like by my effort, I'm advancing, but you are attracting mercy by your effort. And it's the mercy that enables you to advance. It's like the elevator. But you have to qualify to get in the elevator. The door of the elevator won't open unless you make an effort. And you make an effort, the door will open, you get in and you go up. You go up much higher than you could walk. So that's the idea. So in the morning at Mangalarti, those of you who are there, we're singing the last verse, Yasya Prasadha Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Prasada Nakatir Kutopi. And probably many of you don't know what it means, but it means by Yasya Prasada Bhagavat, by the mercy of Guru, you get Krishna. Like you might say, well, why can't I go directly to God? Well, we're not qualified. We have to qualify ourselves. So by the mercy of Guru, you become qualified. And the Guru helps you become purified, and then he can deliver you to Krishna. Okay, now you're qualified. Here's my disciple, he's pure. I've purified him, he's qualified. And that, and so the mercy of the Guru, or the Kripa, or this Shakti, this power, elevates us far, far beyond where we could go on our own. And that's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, kind of a paradoxical statement, that my material energy is impossible to overcome. You can't by your strength. It's impossible. No one has the spiritual strength to overcome the bewilderment of the material energy. It'll always entrap us. And what's the proof of that? Well, the proof is we're still here. Because if we could get out on our own, we would have gotten out a long time ago. Because why would you stay here? Why would you stay in a place where you have to die and get old? We would have gotten out. And people say, why can't I do it by myself? I don't need a guru. And I say, okay, so how's that working for you? No guru. You're still here. So it's not working. Right? I can get rich on my own. I don't need an entrepreneur to inspire me, to consult with me. I can do it on my own. Do you have any money? No. It's not working for you. So I can realize God on my own. Well, how's that working for you? You look in the mirror, you see you have a body. That's proof that it didn't work in the last life. That you can get to here on your own, but you have to get to here, and you can't get to here without the mercy of Guru, without the knowledge. And sometimes the mercy of Guru is simply in the form of instruction. Like one time, it's a funny story. One time, Radhanath Swami gives long classes, very long. Could go 2 or 3 hours. Or if it's on parikrama, maybe even longer. So Maharaj gave one of his classes, so it must have been at least a couple of hours. And some young ladies came up to him and said, Maharaj, please give me your mercy. Because in India, and Indians know the value of mercy. So whenever they see a sadhu, they'll always say, please give me your kripa, right? I want the kripa, I want the mercy of the sadhu. So like most Indians who see a sadhu, they went up to Maharaj and said, please give me your mercy. And he said, that's what I've just been doing for the last 2 hours. The mercy is coming through the words, the instructions. So that's a huge manifestation of mercy. And one time, a disciple of Prabhupada said, please give me mercy so I can understand your teachings. And Prabhupada said, my teachings are my mercy. So, Mama Maya Duraya means we cannot cross over the ocean of material existence, but one who surrenders, he can easily cross beyond it because now he's in the elevator. 5,000 floors, no, even Hercules can't climb that high. But if you get in the elevator, you can do it. So the service, as we said, the service and seva is the door, is the way that opens that mercy. So Prabhupada said something else which is interesting. In the first verse of 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mad Ashraya. Mad Ashraya means take shelter of me. And in a lecture, Prabhupada said, take shelter of me, Krishna saying, means take shelter of Guru. Because you won't get to me unless you go through Guru. So this is the reality, this is the secret, this is how it works. So a Christian saint put it perfectly. You should work like everything depends upon you. But you should pray like everything depends on God. Because if you don't work like everything depends on you, then you won't see the value of effort. But if you think everything depends on Krishna, if it all depends on Krishna, I don't have to work. Or if it all depends on me, then I don't have to pray. I don't have to depend on him. So there's this balance. So we're making effort and we're praying at the same time. Please help me. And so anyone in this movement who has done some service and made some sacrifice, who has done some sadhana and made some sacrifice through difficult times, has personal experience of what happens when you do that. There's like a wave of spiritual energy that pushes you. That's called kripa. That's called mercy. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada. If I please the Guru, I get Krishna's mercy. And Prabhupada stated many, many, many times that my success in spreading this movement is the mercy of my Guru. It's not that I am capable or qualified. Prabhupada would say, I speak with scientists. I've defeated scientists. I'm not a scientist. How is that even possible? That is because of mercy, that Krishna gives us that strength, gives us that intelligence. So that's something to meditate on today, that we are dependent on mercy. We often say we are mercy cases. You feel like that? Like you're a mercy case? Like, if you remove that mercy, then we have nothing. And Srila Prabhupada, representing Balaram, Prabhupada represented Balaram as Nityananda. Nityananda is the expansion of Balaram. Nityananda comes in Chaitanya Lila. So Balaram is Nityananda. And so Prabhupada is a representative of Balaram and Nityananda. He was extremely merciful and extremely acceptant and extremely tolerant. Now there's a story. one of Prabhupada's disciples. He left Prabhupada and he took shelter of a yogi. And he was staying near the temple in Mumbai. And he was doing some type of tapasya, and the devotees would see him standing on one foot all day, like that. It's some kind of tapasya they do. And Prabhupada was concerned to bring him back, that he had gone astray. So he asked one of his disciples to bring him back. And he would try, but he was not successful. And then one day he saw him with his guru and doing all this mystic yoga. And he said, "It's impossible, Prabhupada. I can't. I give up. It's not going to work." And Prabhupada said, "You do not understand that the mercy of Lord Nityananda is unlimited. That Lord Nityananda will never give up on anybody. He'll never give up on you. The only person who will give up on you, who could possibly give up on you, is you. It's not Krishna, it's not your guru, it's not Balaram, it's not Nityananda." So, then I think it's important to talk about the concept of avesh, or empowerment. Like, what does empowerment mean? Because on a day like today, we can pray for the empowerment, the mercy of Balaram, but empowerment is also, it's a kind of mercy, but it's an energy, so that I can be successful in my service. And just like when Prabhupada came to America, he was praying for empowerment because he felt that this service he had was a huge challenge. How would he be successful? So he's praying for empowerment. Empowerment means that you become an instrument and you become held. So you're like a hammer and someone is holding it. And so you're getting the credit for knocking the nail on the wood, but actually it's not done by you. It's done by someone else. So empowerment means you're willing to allow someone like Balaram, your guru, Krishna, to use you. And so you find when you're empowered that you're able to do things you couldn't ordinarily do because you're not actually doing them. It's being done through you. And Prabhupada said that, actually we were reading in the morning, we were reading a couple of things where Prabhupada was saying, if someone is able to make other people devotees, if someone is able to spread Krishna consciousness, that means they're empowered, because it's not a material activity. You need spiritual energy to convert people, to change people's hearts. So Prabhupada would always give credit to his guru that through his mercy, I'm successful. That on my own, I couldn't do it. And something that's extremely interesting to meditate on in terms of empowerment is this idea, which was related to some of us, not me personally, but to some of my godbrothers. It was related by one of Prabhupada's godbrothers who was praising Prabhupada. And he said, Srila Prabhupada was empowered solely because he had no other desire other than the desire of his guru. So, it's like you pick up the hammer and the hammer says, I don't feel like hammering. And the head of the hammer goes, I'm not letting you hammer. So there was no resistance. So Prabhupada, his heart was clean of any other motive and any other desire other than the desire of his spiritual master. And then Krishna could use him. But here's where it gets interesting, what this godbrother said. This is really, really interesting. And it really helps us understand what it means to be empowered. So this godbrother said, when Prabhupada went to New York, of course he did something that was never done before. It was phenomenal. Western people for the first time are becoming Vaishnavas, and they're actually following principles. And gradually the movement spread. So this godbrother said, what Prabhupada did was no less than what Nityananda Prabhu would have done if he came to New York and did it himself. Isn't that interesting? Like if Lord Balaram in the form of Lord Nityananda went to New York in 1965, he wouldn't have been more successful than Prabhupada because he did go to New York through Prabhupada. So he was doing it. So that the empowerment means it's the same. Nityananda does it or he does it through you. But you have to be willing to allow him to do it through you. And then he'll do it. And you'll find in your life you can do amazing things. Sometimes we say, I can't do that. Yeah, you can't, but it can be done through you. There's a difference there. I could never do that. I mean, how could I even be a devotee? How could I love Krishna? It's all inconceivable. But it can happen through you if you're willing. And and as I mentioned the other day in class, Prabhupada said, this movement will spread with you or without you, but if you stay, you'll get the credit. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, I'm looking for a few good men and women. I have a plan. It's going to happen. Who wants to be part of the plan? So if you volunteer, then he'll figure out how to use you, even though you might feel useless, but he'll figure out how to use you. That's how it works. So Balaram, if you are empowered by Guru Tattva, the mercy of Guru, then it's no longer your power. And so you don't have to think, I can't do that. I mean, you can think, I can't do that. That's humility. But you can't think, it can't be done through me. In our humility course, we discuss this idea that sometimes people think humility means you don't do anything. You play small. But playing small is not humility. I'm just a humble devotee, I can't do anything, and I tell everybody I can't do anything, and that, validates my humility. But saying I can't do anything doesn't mean you don't try to do huge things. It just means, actually you try to do bigger things. It just means it's going to happen through you. And so it's a false kind of humility. And Prabhupada showed that to us. So you can say, in a sense, almost like anything's possible. Of course, it's relative to the individual's surrender and advancement. But in a general sense, we can say at least so much more is possible than we think is possible if we're empowered. And we can apply that also to our own purification, because sometimes we're confronted with very persistent obstacles that, you think you've overcome. You ever have that experience? You think you've overcome it, and then it comes back. I thought that ache in my knee was gone. It was gone for a year and it comes back. I thought that anartha was gone, but it came back. And so sometimes it might look like impossible to overcome my conditioning. You ever feel like that? Like I'm so conditioned. I just can't imagine overcoming it. But again, the empowerment can help us overcome it. It's not us. We're going to make the effort, but it's going to happen through the reciprocal mercy that we're getting because we made the effort. And I've had experience also, and you can try this, that I did this on Bhakti Siddhanta's appearance day. I was in a situation, circumstantially, which was not conducive for my Krishna consciousness, and I was praying to him that in this situation I could remain Krishna conscious, because it was very unfavorable. And so much intelligence came to me of how to do that. So many ideas, my perception of the situation changed in a way that wasn't negatively affecting me. And my intelligence became very clear. So that's an obvious aspect of how this mercy works. That you may need strength you don't have, you may need intelligence you don't have, and you pray for it. And because you want it, Krishna's always willing to give it. And today's a great day to pray for it, because Balaram's like he's given it out. And you could say, in a sense, this is why Balaram exists. I mean, for so many reasons he exists, but at least for us, he exists to give us mercy. And he'll give us as much mercy as we want, as much as we need. We just have to ask for it and qualify for it. And then spiritual life becomes very easy. Like Prabhupada said, it's easy. And he said it's difficult. So what is it? Is it easy or difficult? It depends. If you don't have mercy, it's very difficult. So you want to live your life in a way that attracts mercy. And when you attract mercy, you find spiritual life very easy. I tell this story. It's kind of funny, and I'm not saying it to brag. It's really a glorification of the holy name. But there was a period of time where I was facilitating japa workshops, japa retreats actually. And I was doing like one every 3 weeks. I think I did 3, and one every 3 weeks. So when you go to japa retreat, you go, your japa gets really good, and over time it kind of comes down, but the hope is you started here, you only fall here. Then you go to another japa retreat, and you only fall here. So I didn't have time to go down. It was just like up. And I saw a god brother I hadn't seen in many years. And he asked me, how are you doing? And this is like after like 3 in a row, almost in a row, japa retreats. And I said something funny that didn't make sense to him. He thought I was proud. And I don't even know why I said it. I said, I'm doing really good. I said something like, I haven't even seen Maya in months. And he's like, huh? Like, who do you think you are? And I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to boast. It was just that I had gotten so much mercy from chanting properly that I actually forgot that there was such a thing as Maya. I mean, I'm serious. I was like, it wasn't there. That's the power of mercy, that you can alter your reality to that extent. And amazing things can happen. So, today's Balaram's appearance day. You can read about him. There's so much to learn. I didn't want to get into all of that. We don't have much time. I just wanted to focus on this today. But if anyone has any questions or comments, we're open. Yes?
I've heard that word kripa is the mercy that you ask for, and karuna is the mercy that is freely distributed.
Kripa is what you ask for, and what?
And karuna is the mercy that is given if you don't even ask for it. It's just
Oh, yeah. Like
distributed. And I wanted you to clarify if this is true.
Well, there's a principle called kripa siddhi, which is you get mercy and you're not qualified for it, but still you have to use it. So, it's like, okay, here's all the mercy. Who's going to take it? And when Prabhupada was asked, why does someone become Krishna conscious? And you say, mercy is for everyone. Some people are fortunate. One time he said they're fortunate, they take the mercy. One time he said they're intelligent, they take it. And often when a disciple went wayward and devotees would say, Prabhupada, so-and-so has left, he would say, what can I do? Like, he's been given the mercy. Undeservingly, he didn't deserve it, he got it. And the mercy's still there. Which is why I said, like I did a study, can a guru reject a disciple? It's actually only a disciple can reject a guru. Guru never rejects a disciple. He's always putting mercy. It's only the disciple who would reject. And there's so many shastric evidences and examples where Guru's mercy, it's always there. And every time a fallen devotee came back to serve Prabhupada, it was always accepted. I mean, there are rare occasions when Prabhupada rejected someone, but they were rejecting him. That's what actually was happening. It's very rare that Prabhupada rejected anyone. But there were some disciples that Prabhupada was instructing, and they wouldn't accept what Prabhupada was saying. And Prabhupada got frustrated with them, and he said, you do not need a guru. Why are you asking these questions? You do not need a guru. I am not so advanced that I don't need a guru. Get out. So he said, well, do whatever you want. You don't need a guru, so do whatever you want. If your guru says do whatever you want, that's a rejection. But it's rare that he would say that. But in that case, what else could Prabhupada say? Because they didn't want to hear from him. They were arguing. And they didn't want to follow him. So, do whatever you want. You don't need a guru. So, and then there's this idea, maybe with what you're saying with karuna. There's the idea of kripa siddhi. Kripa siddhi is like, Prabhupada gave the example. Like you're walking down the street and this actually happened to me in London. There's a man there, he's a wealthy man, and he likes to give donations. So when there's a senior devotee, he'll just come up and put a donation in your pocket. And so that was the example Prabhupada gave at Kripa City. He said, it's like you don't earn it. It's just someone comes and sticks it in your pocket. It's just mercy. I want to give mercy. And you can't depend on it, but the mercy is always there for sure, whether it's put in your pocket or you have to put out your hand. And it's so important to understand how much mercy we need. And if the plug is pulled out, we cannot be Krishna conscious. And we've seen that. We have so many amazing devotees in this movement who did amazing service, who were very Krishna conscious, but something happened and the plug got pulled out. And all of that Shakti went away. And you see them, they're a different person, like a ghost of what they were, like a shadow of what they were. And that is a very vivid way to understand how that Shakti works. Here's this very elevated devotee doing so much, and now he's given up his practices, maybe rejected Prabhupada in some way. And he's just like an ordinary person, and he was so effulgent and empowered before that. And we've seen that. It's a good example, because we should always understand my advancement is totally the mercy of my Guru. I never want to displease him. I never want to displease Prabhupada. I always want to please the Vaishnavas, because by their blessings, by their grace, I can advance. And that's why you see in scripture, or like we're talking, the Indians know, you always want to get the blessings of the Vaishnavas, because if they're pleased with you, you advance. And if they're displeased with you, your spiritual life is over. And you see that in our books. You see examples of both. It always comes up. Someone offends a great devotee, and all of a sudden their whole life changes, and they become materialistic, and they can't even control themselves. And they were great yogis, great sages, like very elevated, doing austerity, and now they're just like ordinary people, because they offended a Vaishnava, and their mercy was cut. And vice versa. Someone very fallen, like Jagai and Madhai, were very, very sinful, and Mahaprabhu gives him their mercy, and they become very elevated. They became extremely elevated, and very quickly. So you have this throughout Shastra. Those who got mercy and went up, those who didn't get mercy and went down, who might have been up. So I think what mercy is it's very evident in the lives of devotees. And there's another interesting thing also, which is kind of a phenomenon. If you think about how Prabhupada started the movement, you might think, how could he start with people who are not so experienced in Krishna consciousness, or even experienced in life? Because when I joined, I think the average age of a temple president was about 21 or 22, which is kind of the average age of devotees in the movement. A few older, but most. I was 19, and I don't remember anyone being more than 2 years older than me, except my temple president, and that was rare to be that old. To be 29, that was really old, and that was rare. But most of us were like 22, 21, 20, 19. And Prabhupada was sending people out to start temples after a year in the movement. That was quite common. You've been around a year, go start a temple. And you think, and looking at it from our perspective here, you think, how could somebody who's been a devotee for 1 year start a temple? And how could it be successful? And how could anyone become a devotee? Like, how could they make anyone a devotee? Shri Gaur Nityananda ki jai. And the answer is, if they followed Prabhupada's instructions, they would get mercy, and that mercy would come through them, and that mercy would purify other people. And that's exactly what happened. And if Prabhupada didn't have faith in the power of the mercy of Balaram and the whole disciplic succession and the power of the mercy of the holy name, he wouldn't have done that. It would have been a disaster. Instead of people chanting Hare Krishna, we'd start some new cult, smoking this, taking that, and chanting Hare Krishna, which happens. So, and it was successful because we follow what Prabhupada wanted. It just works. It wasn't us. Like I told the story yesterday, like how basically in one day we made like 8 or 10 devotees in one. Everybody in the house became a devotee. You think I have? Well, Mahatma Prabhu, you got Shakti. Like, no. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has Shakti. The process has Shakti, and we just delivered it. I didn't create the medicine. I just administered it. So the medicine is powerful. The instructions are powerful. The Mahaprabhu's mercy is, it goes to anyone who's willing to take it, so you don't need to be qualified. And Mahaprabhu is willing to give us love of Krishna, and the highest form of love of Krishna without qualification. That's a lot of mercy, isn't it? It's very powerful. And you see how chanting Hare Krishna changes your life. That's a symptom of the mercy, because all that mercy is contained in the Maha Mantra. And if you take it and follow other instructions, it works and your life changes. When I was first coming to Krishna consciousness, the devotees would chant every day on campus. And I was starting to come to the temple to study Gita. And I had to walk by them, just normally where I had to go. And one devotee, every time he saw me, he'd come up and he'd grab me and he pulled me in. So I was doing more Harinam before I was a devotee than after, because I walked by there every day and they'd grab me in and I'd chant. So, and I was hearing Bhagavad Gita. And one day I thought, this is really interesting. My life has totally changed and I'm not even aware I changed it. I haven't taken drugs. I haven't done this. I haven't done that, eaten meat. So many things changed. And I wasn't consciously aware. I could only look back and think, oh, I stopped doing that. Why? Well, I was doing kirtan every day. I was hearing Bhagavad Gita. I was reading Bhagavad Gita every day. I was attending classes twice a week, Sunday feast. So I was going to the temple 3 days a week and doing Harinam every day. And not even really consciously trying to be renounced, and it just happened. How could that happen for a young man become celibate? Yeah. That's like impossible. That's mercy. So you can say, so much is possible by mercy. Hare Krishna. And that's what's available today. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I think we're supposed to stop 10 minutes ago. Is that right? We're supposed to stop at 8:30? No? Oh, I thought we were stopping. Everything was it's a half hour earlier because we don't eat breakfast. Yeah, I think it's good we don't eat breakfast because we've been eating too much. And we need the stomach needs to rest a little, yeah? So lunch is at 12. Okay, I thought I was trying to stop at 8:30. Oh, okay. All right, we have more. Anyone want to share some nectar from Balaram or questions? Add to the discussion? I have more I could read, a little more Leela-ish. Yes. Prabhu. Prabhudas Prabhu.
Thank you, Mahatma Prabhu, for the class. I have a question on indirectly is connected with the Kripa of Guru, because you said that you overcome by the mercy of the Guru, you overcome mine. And there is the Apichet Suduracharo, this verse.
Yes.
That, and in the translation is using the present tense. Even if he commits the worst acts,
Yes.
But it seems to me there is a contradiction in the translation, because it should have been in the past. Because how can you commit sinful activities if you are engaged ananya bhak? So is there? Can you comment?
Well, there's a verse in the Gita that says that even if you commit an abominable act, if you're repentant and remorseful and you get up with determination, then we should still consider, when we look at you, should consider you're still a devotee and you're a sadhu and saintly, and that was a slip. So isn't in the purport, it says accidental fall down? Doesn't it say that? Accidental. So Prabhupada is talking about accidental fall down as opposed to like committing sin on the strength of chanting, premeditated sin. So Prabhupada says, and I perhaps have read it elsewhere, that there's a world of difference between accidental fall and premeditated fall, and you don't get the same reaction if it's an accident. And Prabhupada acknowledged accidents happen. But so you could even say future, you could even use future tense. Like if you accidentally fall in the future, but you stand up and regret it, then Krishna forgives you, and we will see you still. We will see you as who you are as a determined devotee, and that was just a bump in the road like that. But Prabhupada was asked once, Prabhupada, if I slip, will you forgive me? And Prabhupada said, yes. And if I slip again, Prabhupada, will you forgive me? Yes. And if I slip again, will you forgive me? And Prabhupada said 3 times, like Krishna, but Prabhupada once said, then he said, I'll forgive you unlimitedly, but don't take advantage. But another time he said, I'll forgive you, but Krishna may not. Once, twice, thrice. So obviously Prabhupada didn't want us to use that verse as an excuse. Well, Krishna will forgive me. But it's circumstantial, not premeditated, accidental, and qualified that you are remorseful and repentant and with renewed determination to never do that again. And then we can see you as a sadhu. There's a real interesting twist to this. I don't know if you know this. In the next verse it says, very soon he will become righteous. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a commentary. He said, the person who will become righteous is the one who sees that this fallen devotee, when he gets up, is a sadhu. He'll become righteous. Isn't that interesting? Like if he has difficulty and he gets up and you see, oh, he's a sadhu. He said, you'll become righteous by seeing him a sadhu. It doesn't just refer to him, it refers to the people that see him. Like we were talking yesterday about the benefit of appreciation, how much like if I appreciate you, it encourages you, but I even benefit more. So the person because the reason he explained this, he said that verse, Krishna orders you to see him as a sadhu. You should. So you're following Krishna's order, and then you get mercy. You become a sadhu by following Krishna's order to see him as a sadhu. Of course, this is a whole discussion, because what did he do? How many times did he do it? How bad was it? How many people suffered? Okay, sadhu from a distance, maybe. So, but those. I think it's just meant to show that Krishna will never send anyone to hell forever. And that practically everyone who comes to bhakti, I don't want to discourage anyone, but everyone's going to slip a little bit. Everyone's going to make a mistake, a little one or a big one. And so, there's mercy there. It's okay, just get back up. It's okay, just be repentant and stand up again, and with determination, go ahead. And what's also interesting, I don't know if we discussed this, but it's a really powerful point, that 2 things go on. You have your determination to be Krishna conscious, and you have your physical body, which has its own ideas. Did we talk about, just right now, meditate on your desire to be Krishna conscious, and just feel that desire. I want this relationship. And now imagine you didn't have a physical body. Be a lot easier to go with that desire, wouldn't it? Right? Isn't it? Because that desire is a lot stronger than you realize. It's the physical body and mind that's getting in the way. And you think, I don't have this desire to be Krishna conscious. If you don't, why are you here? You definitely have it. You wouldn't be here. You would have given up. You do have that desire. But the body and mind has another desire because of conditioning. And so what Krishna is seeing is that desire you have to be Krishna conscious, and that other stuff is like, yeah, that's your conditioning. It's just, it's slowing down. You've done it. You've thought this way for millions of lives, but Krishna's seeing what's really in your heart. And it's really important for us to see what's really in our heart, because the body's got its own thing and the mind has its own thing. But we want to listen. We want to listen to the heart, the desire. And a verse you may be familiar with in the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, the devotee says, Krishna, I feel so helpless. Like maybe it's your arrangement that I just keep falling. I find it so difficult. And if that's what you want, then I'm just always battling my mind and senses. So I guess that's what it is. And then the devotee says, but I'll never give up my determination. So he separates that conditioning from what's in his heart to be determined. That's so interesting and so important. It's like, because there's always these two things going on. So he's looking at his conditioning and saying, I'm a mess. And I don't know when I'm going to get out of this mess. But in spite of this mess, my desire to be Krishna conscious doesn't weaken. That's so interesting. Because when you mess up on this side, your desire on this side weakens. It's like, what's the use? I'm so conditioned. And he's saying, I want to be Krishna conscious so much. This thing, whatever's going on here, whatever. I'm just like, who cares, It's my body, it's my mind. I don't want it. I don't want to think this way. I don't want to be envious. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to be lusty. I don't want to be any of this. But I have to tolerate it. And I, Krishna, I want to have a relationship with you. That's what I'm focused on. Isn't that interesting? It's like a paradox. And I think it's so important for us. Because that's you all have much stronger desires to be Krishna conscious than you might even think. Because there's so much focus on the crazy mind and senses. But a lot of that mind and senses is really so much against our own will. It's not like we want it. If you could just tell your mind, shut up, and it would shut up, you would tell it what to do. Mind, shut up. Envy, kill yourself. Greed, jump off the bridge. You would do that if you could, right? And we're trying to do it. But greed and envy and lust goes, forget you, I'll do what I want. And greed and envy and lust says, for millions of lifetimes you trained me up. Lust, greed, envy, you got me really good, and now you're telling me to jump off a bridge? I'm not going to do that. I've got too much energy going here. I'm just going to you really have to convince me that you don't want this. One time I was taking a walk. I was in Australia, and I was taking a walk at the beach. And a thought came to my mind that I didn't want. And I just said, Maya, I don't want that thought. I said it out loud because it has more power. And then I thought, well, what is it that I want? And I said out loud what I want. And it was very powerful. Because when you say, I don't want, that side you're quieting. And when you say what I do want, this side you're strengthening. So you can, some crazy thought comes, I want to I hate this devotee. No, Krishna, I want to serve this devotee, love and appreciate this devotee. Maya, I'm not, don't tell me this stuff. I don't want it. I'm not going there. You don't have to bother telling me this because I'm not going to listen anyway. So you can just tell somebody else. You don't have to tell me. And so there's power in saying something, not just thinking it's saying it. That was a long answer. But it's important. Did that answer your question? Yeah, it's important. Obviously, you don't want to justify your fallen behavior, that Krishna forgives you. But sometimes the point of this verse is sometimes you try your best and your best isn't good enough because we're conditioned, right? You're going well in your bhakti for 5 years and one day something. Hare Krishna. Krishna, please forgive me. I just want you. And so that's our prayer. Krishna, please don't ever let me fall down. Please protect me. That's our prayer. Balaram, please protect me. But in order to pray that way, you have to care enough about your spiritual life that you would pray like that. Because if you don't care enough about your spiritual life, why would you pray it like that? It's like, whatever, No, Krishna, I want you. I care about my spiritual life to such a degree that I will pray always for strength. Please protect me. Please help me. So we've been here like 4 days, and probably lots of stuff has come up in 4 days. Please help me work through this stuff. Please give me the strength to go through it. It's a good day. This is a good time to have this. Yes. Thank you for that question. Yes.
It seems to me that if we are devotees, we've been devotees for some time, but we're not keep going onwards, upwards, if we not keep making progress, that means that we're not praying like that. Is that correct?
Could be. Somehow or other somehow or other we don't care enough.
So if we care and we're doing...
Or sometimes we just... You could also say, well, I care, but this is who I am, and I tried and it didn't work, so it's like... It's not a great attitude to have, but some people have that. I did my best, and this is who I am. I don't have, by nature, I don't have that mentality. Like, if my best is bad, I wouldn't accept it personally. That's just how I am. And I think that's, necessary, that kind of determination. There's something, push yourself a little more to not just accept a standard that's not really where you want to be. Push yourself a little bit. Especially when you're getting older, because you're going to be facing your final test. But I can't speak for others. I don't know why everyone feels that way, but people do. And sometimes it could be due to offenses they just lost. Like sometimes when I know someone who's very Krishna conscious and all of a sudden I see them not, my first thought is, did this person offend somebody? Because you don't just drop like that so quickly. That question comes. Like, what happened to him? That is uncharacteristic of him. Why is he doing that? My first thought is, he may have offended somebody, and it's just the plug was pulled. So that's also possible. And then some people, they just stopped sadhana. So there's no sadhana, and so obviously they're going to be like, whatever, this life, I don't think I'll be Krishna conscious. But Prabhupada asked us to go back to Godhead in this life many, many times. Don't make me come back. So that's that's our service. You can say, life after life, Prabhupada said, no, go back. Prabhupada does not trust us life after life. You'll come back and you'll get sidetracked, possibly. You're on the path now, just keep going, Greta has a... Yes.
So since we spoke about this kind of like fall downs, I was listening one class very interesting. If I remember correctly, the term it was aroposita bhakti, when you can offer your like this kind of attachments and fall down activities to Krishna. So I found it very interesting. If you could
Can you give an example? What example did they give? Did they give an example of something that...
I forgot now. I'm just very interested in that way, in that form of bhakti, because he was saying that bhakti is not only for the good times, it's also for the bad and low times, right?
Can you explain a little more? So how, what would, is he saying like you have something bad in your life, but you offer it to Krishna? Or like anartha?
Yeah, maybe more like this attachments and...
Oh, you use it.
If you do, maybe if you even break some principles or something, that you can still like connect to them.
Yeah. I think we should... we were doing Harinam in Croatia, and people are like, like tapping their toes, but not joining. And I was telling the devotees, I said, Actually, we should distribute beer prasadam, because if they drink beer, they'll all dance in the kirtan. I have experience. I wasn't serious, but I have experience. I think we have to make a distinction between those who are serious practitioners and those who are not, because if you're a serious practitioner and you're like, well, we smoke pot before kirtan and the kirtans are much better. Maybe they are, but it's against our principle. So we can definitely offer attachments to Krishna and use them in a favorable way, because it has to be favorable. So it has to, whatever that is, it has to be to utilize it. So you like to do something, your occupation, and maybe directly it's not so Krishna conscious, but you like it, and you think, well, how could I use this in some way? Connect this. Without an example, it's hard. Does anybody else know about this? Aropa Siddhi? You know about it?
It's also first time I heard it.
Yeah.
I was so
Well,
fascinated. I was like, wow.
well, like Kamsa, Sisupal used his anger to be Krishna conscious. Maybe that's what he's referring to. These examples are, Sisupal was not anger, he was envious. Kamsa was angry, and it was backwards. They were always thinking of Krishna, but it wasn't favorable. But they were. So Narada Muni said, "Oh Krishna, please give me your mercy that I could think of you as intensely as Sisupal and Kamsa think of you." But aversion is sometimes more intense than love. So it might have been something like that. But for us, our principle is it has to be favorable. So anger could be used in Krishna's service, but directly against him, unless you're Radharani or the gopis. So, but I could speak to another thing that maybe is more relatable, that I have attachments and I can't let them go. So I have to figure out how to connect them to Krishna, so those very attachments can purify me, because I'm going to do it anyway. And if I can't do it for Krishna, I'll do it anyway, so better I do it for Krishna. John, I remember when we were in the park in Dallas and we heard this voice, to be or not to be. Like, that's Prajapati. Remember that? We were in the, we were next to a stadium and he was doing, Hamlet or something. And then I said to John, I said, yeah, he likes to act and there's no devotees to act with, so he just joins a drama troupe. So he's going to act no matter what, in Leela or Shakespeare Leela. So that's an important point. It's your nature, Devotees say, "Oh, I have this nature to do business," and a lot of times they think, "Well, it's Maya, because it's money." They're like, yeah, our movement needs lots of money. It's Maya. We don't have lots of money. We have lots of dilapidated temples that could use lots of money. So when someone says, "I like business," I say, "Yes. Can I get to know you? I've got some projects." So it's never a problem. It's the mentality that would be the problem. So if I can somehow or other, I think prasadam is the best example. I like to eat and I like to eat nice things. But if I offer it to Krishna first, he becomes the first one to enjoy it. Now I can enjoy it. So I love to do this. I'm going to offer this to you, Krishna, because you're meant to be the enjoyer of whatever I do. And then I offer it to you. Now I can enjoy it. So as long as Krishna enjoys, you're safe. But as long as you put yourself above him, then you're in trouble. That's not Krishna conscious. So yeah, okay, let's make lots of money. Let's become famous. Let's do all these nadanam, najanam, nasindrim. Let's get lots of followers. There's this one devotee. He never became a full-time devotee, but he made so many devotees, all women. He used that propensity. He never joined. And he got all these women to move in the temple because he attracted them. They're like, "You're so beautiful, I want to marry you." He goes, "Don't marry me, marry Krishna. Let's go to the temple." So he was enjoying, alluring women, but he made Krishna the enjoyer of those women. So I love making money. We have Alexander. He's not here now. Alexander says, I have lots of businesses. I like making money. I have so many ideas. And I say, Alexander, do you have constant ideas how to make money? He said, yes. That's Vaishya. They can't stop thinking about making money. So that's good. So, make Krishna the enjoyer of it. It's not a problem. So when you become the enjoyer, now you're not in your eternal constitutional position. Your eternal position is that Krishna is the enjoyer. So whatever you do for his enjoyment. Like we have so many musicians here. We like to sing. We like to play instruments. But we're not going to do it so we'll be glorified. That's what we did before. Get on the stage, thousands of people going, yeah! We're basically feeling like God, more or less, right? But now we want those people going, Krishna, we don't want them chanting the name of our band. We want them, Krishna, Krishna. So we get out of the center. We like doing music. Krishna's the enjoyer of the music. We enjoy it. But if it was for ourselves, we couldn't enjoy it. We'd suffer. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, we should stop, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So when I feel that I have some doubts and have a lack of faith, and this doesn't help me to progress in my spiritual life, what can I do? What can I do when I realize that I've been attached to autopilot and conditionings? What can I do not to be attached to them?
Some of that conditioning you might have to use in service. You understand English? Yeah. This is an interesting question because sometimes you can't give up that attachment. You can only redirect it. Like certain propensities you have. So that's one question. Can I use this attachment in service? Because sometimes it's the only way to overcome an attachment is to use it in service. But if anything is detrimental, anything in your heart is detrimental for your bhakti, the question is, am I going to allow this to get between me and Krishna? Because this is getting between. Here's me, here's Krishna. I used to be like this, running away from Krishna. Now at least I'm trying to get closer, but there's this thing in the way. Am I going to let it sit there? Because if I do, then there's me, and there's Krishna, and there's this thing in the way. So what about the idea, I will not allow anything to get in between me and Krishna, no matter what it is? Have you ever allowed something to get between you and Krishna? We all do, right? That's what anartha means. It's just something that's in the way. So that kind of determination will help. When life gets difficult, a lot of times we allow the difficulty to get between us and Krishna. Right? Yes. It's there. I have to there's this anartha. I have to tolerate it. It's not going away tomorrow. I have to tolerate it. Because if I don't, it gets in the way of my relationship with Krishna. How badly do you want the relationship? The more you want the relationship, the more you can tolerate. What's going to get in the way? Because you know if I give into that, it'll ruin the relationship, and you know if you give into it, you'll suffer. Because you know it's wrong. Right? But it's important to make a distinction, what to engage and what is not engageable. What is a pure obstacle? It's just an obstacle that has to be tolerated. I don't know if I was telling you this, but you will notice often the difference between an advanced devotee and others is their ability to tolerate. You think, oh, he's so advanced. Maybe not necessarily. Maybe he's just better at tolerating his mind and senses. He doesn't give into it. So sometimes that's the only distinction. So they're better at tolerating. You know, when Prabhupada gave some of the devotees sannyas, he said, now that you have sannyas, it's not that you're going to be free from attachment. He said, but now you have to tolerate it. You can't give into it. You've made a vow. And when you take initiation, it doesn't mean it's going to be easier to follow your vows. It's only going to be easier because you made a determination to follow it. Then it makes it easier. So, like Prabhupada says, you should be determined to go back to Godhead. That makes everything easier. Because if I'm determined to go back to Godhead, and then there's something in the way, I get around it. I jump over it. I blow it up. But if I'm not determined, whoa, look at that. That's so big. How can I get through this? It's so hard. Then all the excuses come up. Right? Is that helpful? I mean, maybe not the only answer, but it is an answer. Yeah. I mean, really, if you're not determined, you might as well, she's not determined, she'll be easy. I'll just put something in front of her and she'll just get deviated. Right? Yes, Annapurna.
Two kinds. I don't remember how you said it exactly, but can you give examples? That you say one we can tolerate and one we can.
Oh yeah, one we can't tolerate, or one we shouldn't tolerate. Yeah, some things you shouldn't tolerate because it's not healthy. So yeah, so you can say, okay, I have this desire, I'm trying to tolerate it, but I can't. I'm not that advanced. Now I have to engage it. Right? I have to use it. Sometimes, here's the problem. Sometimes there's an attachment that's not a problem, but you think it is. It's your nature. I want to get married and have kids. Is that a problem? No. But some women, when they're younger, they think, oh, I'm in Maya. I want to get married and have kids. It's not a problem. I'm so attached. I want to have kids. No, you're normal. You're not attached. But you have to engage it. So that's a mistake when there's something which is a normal, maybe even healthy attachment, and you think it's not, and you're trying to get rid of it. Then you go crazy because you can't get rid of it, because it's natural. So that's the problem. Have anyone in this room ever done that? Trying to overcome a natural attachment? It's unhealthy. If you're trying to overcome a natural attachment, you are in a cult. They have all these symptoms of what a cult is. Yeah, that would be one of them. All right, we're finished. Okay, we're going to have prasadam, but we're not going to eat it. It comes in the form of service, and we will get Balaram's mercy, and then we'll come back here at 10:30 or 10:45. 10:30 to 10:30. So we'll have, if Julian, we could meet for a minute to discuss. I think if we can meet with Shama and we could discuss what we want to talk. And he'll help us. He knows everything everyone's interested in talking about. So we could do that now. That would be good. Okay. Good? Thank you very much. Balaram Jayanti ki jai go premanandi hari hari bo.
I shared on the WhatsApp group these services today. But if you want, I can tell you, please. Decorations group 5, kitchen group 3, cleaning group 1, within the restaurant group 2, prashada seva group 4. Group 4, there's some prashada, so you can just go to Govinda. There's more. Yeah, leaving in 10 minutes. No, actually 20 minutes. 9:30. Group Group 2 is Govinda restaurant.
That's what I was
Group 4 also.
like 5 cash and
Exactly.